To move on now to another story, which is in regard to internet security. And internet security firm Asset East Africa has added its voice to the call for legislation to compel organizations to share or release information to a supervisory authority in a bid to tackle cybersecurity in the country. On Tuesday, the Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of ICT, Joe Musheru, challenged the financial services sector in Kenya to improve information sharing and reporting on cybersecurity breaches. The encrypting type malware, also known as WannaCry, that hit the world last Friday. Well, this spread rapidly around the globe by exploiting a vulnerability in computers running unpatched versions of Microsoft Windows operating system. The asset actually recorded 8 WannaCry crypto attack attempts in Kenya during the period May 14th to 16th, 2017. A standardized and shared reporting system would be a welcome move in developing a unified preventive or counteractive measure to hamper the growth of malware and other forms of cybercrime. Well, still keeping into that, and the ICT Cabinet Secretary Joe Musheru has called on banks to scale up their security systems. This is in a bid to ensure that they are well insulated against any form of attacks. Here's more.
It is important for local banks to strengthen internal controls and early detection systems. As you roll out digital banking solutions, I urge you to ensure that in transforming client experiences, you also provide them with the highest levels of security. You have to constantly engage consumers on how to protect themselves against some of these fraudulent activities through periodic customer education campaigns. Further, financial institutions must invest in improving financial crime governance and control frameworks. Whereas this will require significant investment in IT upgrades and improved data handling, it will go a long way in protecting data. Failure to invest in data protection will be more costly and risk in the long run.
Two. Well, just checking up some of your Twitter feedback here on social media. And let me just quickly recap our Twitter poll question. And today we're asking you, have you been able to get the 90 shilling 2 kg packet at your local store? That is our Twitter poll question this hour, and we continue to receive lots and lots of feedback, and we should be able to sample some of your results as we move along with this particular broadcast. And do keep tweeting, and of course this is one of the big topics we are covering for you this afternoon. Well, I want now to cross and bring in an interesting twist to what's been happening in the country, and that is in relation to cyber attacks. And I'm now joined by Kamotho Njenga, who is a former chair and currently the Secretary General of the ICT Association of Kenya. Let's start off with, what do you make of the recent developments around reports of the ransomware, and what does it really mean for the ordinary man?
Thank you. These attacks that we are seeing at the moment, they were about to happen, and we can only anticipate that they will intensify as time goes by. Mm-hmm. The rationale behind what we are seeing is easy to discern from the current trend in the transactions, whereby they are shifting from the traditional world of doing business, the brick and mortar style, to the digital space. As more and more transactions begin to take place at the digital arena, mm-hmm. we are about to see more and more of these attacks, because cyber criminals or any ordinary criminal mm-hmm. would want to follow mm-hmm. where the money is. Mm-hmm. And as a shift from operations, from organizational operations, proceeds from the traditional media to the online platforms, we can only expect that these attacks will keep increasing.
All right. So how prepared are we as a country to sort of respond to the attacks?
In my assessment, we are badly prepared.
Are you serious?
I would say so.
What makes you say so?
Because very few people today will tell you what or the manner in which a cyber attack is able to manifest. We are indeed great users of ICT in this country, actually based on need and also compared by circumstances, especially that now most of the government services are moving online. We have so many users, but rarely or in very few instances will you find a user who is able to identify a potential threat when they are using the systems. It is very easy for any user or ordinary users, as we know them in this country, to be tricked into opening a file that contains dangerous programs or malware.
Actually, that leads me to my next question. How aware is the Kenyan use of the internet? How aware are we as a society on these threats and these programs that you click unknowingly and kaboom, you are messed up?
We can only become aware if we have invested in proper sensitization programs. That has been lacking. Much of what has come, even at the ministry policy level, is about law enforcement, talking about raising the fines for the perpetrators, but that will achieve very little in my view. This is because by the time you are taking somebody for prosecution, the damage has already occurred. So the starting point in cybersecurity is awareness creation. We must evangelize to the users of ICT and tell them that there is a risk that lacks within the systems that we are using.
All right.
So it will be necessary, as we talk of other measures, first to make people aware that the systems that we are using, despite their huge potential and capabilities to make things better, they are also faced with certain dangers which we must mitigate against.
All right.
And that would be the most important thing to do.
Okay.
And this is based on even on research that the greatest results to managing cybersecurity threats lies in awareness creation and training of users so that they are aware of what to watch against and how to conduct themselves in the event they encounter such threats.
Okay. And one would ask, how would you advise individuals to handle issues, especially when they have fallen prey to, say, an attack? How should you respond? What are some of the quick measures you can take so as to recover, perhaps be it lost data, or your Facebook account has been hacked into, or your email? What are some of the tips you can give our viewers?
First, it is always critical when making use of systems to beware of certain programs that will manifest as pop-ups that will suggest to you sites that you click, that you download some certain programs that promise to make your computer more efficient, email that promises you fortunes at the basic level, because most of these attacks are propagated through what we call social engineering, making the users believe that they start to benefit by, let's say, installing certain software or clicking on certain links, but eventually that leads them into a pit. So there is need to first be aware of the potential dangers. And then secondly, the users need to invest in backup procedures, because, so that in the event you happen to lose your data at any point, you can always retrieve it through any other method.
All right. Interesting that you brought that up. And finally, just to get you a quick shot on, the president did sign one of the key bills, that is the cybersecurity bill. What do you make of the provisions in this bill?
The provisions are useful in as much as they will try to create a disincentive towards common practices that would ordinarily impair systems of other people. In the form that you may want to use a system through adventure to hack into other people's systems, to gain unauthorized access, to bring down people's systems, there is a penalty, and a huge one at that.
Okay.
So it will be a disincentive to those who may want to perpetrate cyber attacks, but at the same time, more needs to be done, because law enforcement comes at the tail end when the attacks have already been perpetrated, data has been lost, systems have been brought down, and considering the monumental reliance that we have as far as information systems are concerned today, almost every transaction we are doing today has an information security bearing.
Okay.
Right from the money transfer services, the government services, and a lot of information is being held, confidential information, which needs to be protected.
All right.
So that we ensure that whatever happens, our data remains safe, our information resources are carefully safeguarded, and that would mean we also safe from other potential attacks, because even the nature of warfare that is now being perpetrated across nations, it has shifted largely from the traditional ground forces to the cyberspace. So we are now talking of cyber warfare, and I think we have evidence based on past elections, even in places like the US. A lot of controversy that is emerging is as a result of vulnerability of systems. Because once you have gained access to the information assets of an organization, you are as good as well in control of that organization.
All right. Many thanks there, Kamoto Njenga, who is the Secretary General of the ICT Association of Kenya, just sharing with us some of the key aspects you need to consider, especially now that we're living in a time where cyber attacks have been the norm. He does actually give tips on ensuring that you back up your data. Over and above that, make sure that your password is not so simple to be actually worked on. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll be having another round of interviews here from the City Center. Thanks for keeping it KT News.
This is KTN News.